I want to do is we'll go right into Donato. We'll put that question on hold, and depending on how long Donato, we should have like at least 10 minutes for a Q&A. Donato, you're here right now, aren't you? I think I saw you before. Yeah, cool. So yes.
Hi, Matt.
Hey, so we'll go right into you, and then we'll do either a Q&A. Probably easier if you guys just open it up to Q&A. You two can lead it. I want to make sure we got our next session coordinated because that's actually a live stream from an event in Munich. There's a lot of feedback there on someone's microphone, but hearing a little bit of my echo. But anyways, yeah. So we'll get right into you, Donato. You can present about chain. I'm blanking. Is it chain plug? What is it called?
Chain plug.
Chain plug. Yeah, you were one of the guys who actually got back to me right away. You know, you had been on a panel that I had attended, a live panel on the climate summit, and so we actually talked a while ago. I've talked to a lot of people since then, so I'm sorry for not remembering all the details. But no. I do know you're helping, to do some blockchain for good stuff, and we'll roll right into that. And if I'm not here, you guys just handle the Q&A yourself among you and David, and give everyone an opportunity. And then please, well, actually, I guess hopefully we don't have to leave this session, because this is the last hour is still within this session if we have the live broadcast working. But let me make sure that we do. And I haven't seen Amir yet, so hopefully he'll be joining us soon, although his events, he had an hour first and then an hour with us. So if anyone from Amir's group is here, please shoot out a little message in the chat, and we'll let Donato start going. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for all the interesting proposals I have heard so far. I am sorry, but in 10-15 minutes I have to go because I have to catch a train. And I text you, Matt, but obviously you didn't read my message. Okay, I will go directly into what Chainplug does, because I think I can summarize some of the needs I've heard so far, in the previous presentations. When we think about, enterprises, we have to consider that worldwide, 90% of them are small, medium enterprises. And small, medium enterprises, they do not have necessarily all the funds that regulations and that, eventually investments into, for example, carbon credits, might be needed for them. So at Chainplug, we have thought, okay, how can we enable small, medium enterprises to actually adopt the technology in the shift between Web 2 and Web 3? And moreover, how can we provide tools to these companies so that actually they can certify their progress towards reaching the 17 SDG goals defined by the UN 2030 agenda. So we have developed a series of technologies for them according to a business model which is called blockchain platform as a service, which integrates the Internet of Things and artificial intelligence, so that, as an example, they can participate into the voluntary carbon credit market by, as an example, using our technology. And here I will just share the screen in, showing you, as an example, what our technology would enable small, medium enterprises to join. In particular, we can see here, we can see here how we can enable the small medium enterprises to access, for example, spot markets. On one side, we have carbon emissions, and on the other side, we have carbon offsets. And by means of our technology and the use, as an example, of IoTs, which can help on one side to certify emissions, on the other side to certify the production of actually sustainable energy, it is possible to, identifying these IoTs to, on one side, certify the SMEs' carbon emissions, and on the other side, of course, certify the SMEs' carbon offset so that they can participate to spot market for carbon credits. And this is just one example of, sorry, I'm sharing, I'm stopping the sharing. Hold on. Just give me, I don't know, I've lost. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Okay, I've stopped now, finally,
Yes.
the sharing. So basically, as Jana was saying before, in terms of the construction business, how can we, as an example, monitor the waste that is produced during, a building process? Well, we have the technology, as an example, to provide to small enterprises this kind of tools so that they can actually follow the waste they produce, also in the way it is going to be, as an example, regenerated, because I think this was one of the points that was discussed before, or eliminated according to, as an example, sustainable way. But our purpose at ChainPlug is exactly that. How are going small medium enterprises not only to join the technological transition between Web 2 and Web 3, but how in the world are they going to have the means to address sustainability and to certify their progress towards the 2030 UN goals? Well, we provide them with a sustainability module where, according to the specific goals concerning their business, they can actually, by means of technology and by means actually a low-cost technology, which is based on blockchain, certify their progress, but not only in terms of carbon credits. As an example, we are, for example, by means of our technology, certifying the quality of the air inside working spaces. And this is a social attribute that enterprises has sooner or later to address. Furthermore, with regulations entering into the field, and especially in the EU, we are very keen on regulations. This would create, an enormous difficulty for small, medium enterprises. So what we do, we provide them the technology not only for the transition between Web 2 and Web 3, but also for the transition towards a sustainable Web 3 by means of adopting, as an example, a sustainable by design blockchain like Near Protocol, or as an example, by providing small, medium enterprises with tools that they would never be able to afford, because small, medium enterprises don't have neither the knowledge, nor the money, nor the developers for develop these technologies. And 2030 is right around the corner. So because of that, I think that if we want to make a difference, we have to enable SMEs to participate into the game by providing them with the right sustainable technology. And that's what ChainPlug does. Thank you.
Cool. That's that ties in actually well with some issues that we discussed earlier about, setting standards, and then the small guys, the cost of compliance on a per capita basis, let's call it, economies of scale basis, is much higher for the small guys than the big guys, so where we do need some sort of standards, I believe, we also want to make it affordable for the smaller player. And so it sounds like ChainPlug is really addressing that issue. You're
Yeah.
mute, I think.
Yes, that's right. We have been focused since 5 years on, the big technological change, and moreover about the sustainability of the small guys. Because, if they cannot onboard onto these technologies, they will disappear. And of course, we are planning to do it by incentivizing them to participate and to adopting our technology by creating a decentralized autonomous organization, thus rewarding those who actually embrace this sustainable technology and actually can certify their progress towards reaching the 17 SDGs. And it's where I think it's interesting, because nobody does anything if there is not a reward of some sense.
Sure.
So even I was listening to non-profit, for-profit, whatever profit, but nobody does nothing in exchange for nothing. So the exchange can be monetary on one side, but it can also can be at the level of ethical values, and it's there where we want to provide and make a difference.
Sure, and it can be social connections, there's different sort of, intrinsic and extrinsic awards, monetary, non-monetary rewards, but people do need to be motivated somehow, whether it's community connections with other human beings, acceptance from other, human beings, the standards of acceptable society. I mean, you had one time in society that it seemed very acceptable to have slaves, and now that's no longer the case in most societies, thankfully. And so hopefully we will continue to evolve as a society. We've had some nice gains in terms of life expectancy, growing middle classes in a number of places. So hopefully we can continue those gains while also being, respective of planetary boundaries and stealing from the next generation when you put us in environmental deficits. Financial deficits are actually relatively easy because it's one human owing another human, so it's a net zero there, right? Or maybe a human owing a corporation. Or a government owing whatever, but basically it's all humans involved, and it's all our own system. Nature, the rules are imposed on us from outside. We don't control all those rules. We can influence it, but we don't control those. And how that's going to affect the rules that we make, and when we build these natural deficits, these environmental deficits, I think it puts a headwind on businesses going forward. The businesses who created the deficits for free got a tailwind, the extractive economy. We have to now be smart and figure out how can we, have a good regenerative economy that pays off some of those deficits, right? While still maintaining, some of the standards that we've gotten used to, or at least, even if we shift standards, maintaining the happiness and the health and the life expectancy and the things that we really, are positives, right? And putting aside some of those negatives. So David, I know you had, we have a few minutes still. You had a question that you posed to the audience at the end of yours. maybe you can recircle on that. And I'm just going to try to finalize things with Amir here. He says he's all ready to go with his team. I don't know if anyone is signed in from Menthol yet, but I just texted with him, messaged with him, and he said they should be good to go. So David, I'll just turn it over to you to wrap up this segment, and then you can turn it over to anyone in the audience that has a question, and I'll be back in just a couple minutes, and we'll, on the hour for most of us except in India, we'll be starting with Menthol. Thank you guys for participating and your perspectives, and looking forward to collaborating with everyone who has participated, and those who missed out. We still welcome collaboration and teamwork, because I think we all need to leverage the network effects that we have. We're starting to get to really a positive tipping point in terms of the number of people who are involved in this, the number of people who are willing to invest in this, both their time and their money, and some of their other stuff as well. So thank you. So David, if you can repose that question and just finish out this segment here.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. So yeah, just going back, and thanks Donato as well for really fascinating. It's got to be game changing. I mean, I think Donato may have already dashed off this train, but So to those on the line now, the question I posed was, why would corporates invest today in nature-based carbon removals? And what lies behind that question is this proposition in the graph I put up, really, that if carbon removals are the bridge between your residual emissions and net zero, and you've made a net zero commitment for 2050, why not just wait? Buy in the spot market when the time comes, even if you've made a science-based target interim commitment, which might be 2030 or 2035, well, that's still, 7 or 12 years away. No need to spend any money now to make any contractual commitments. Now, my proposition is that is not helpful, okay? It is not putting money into nature. It is not replanting trees. It is not restoring wetlands at scale. It is putting the issue off, like we are in so many other aspects of climate action and the transition. So it's a question for all, really, if anyone's got any thoughts on what would make a difference and what would make the difference in corporates investing now rather than deferring that decision. I've got a few ideas, but I'd welcome thoughts of others in the couple of minutes we got there. Anybody want to say anything?
Well, I do think we need to hold the corporate's feet to the fire. And in terms of individuals and institutional investors, we had Carbon Growth Partners present in the first session, and they have a carbon long fund. And in their first year, I think they had a 61% return or something along those lines. So there is money to be made in the carbon markets. And if we're smart as a society, and we want to be smart about human survival at a nice level, not a level where it's a real struggle to survive, but we'll put carbon limits, and we'll force carbon taxes or offsets to be purchased, and that will raise the price. I mean, right now we have more I think supply coming on board, but we, I think, really need to just like you pay to take out your trash, or you pay for lots of other things that you do. If you damage a hotel room, potentially you have to pay, right? If you get into a car accident, you have insurance, and if it's your fault, you pay. So if you cause something, our society has you usually pay for it, particularly when you're causing it intentionally and not just an accident. I mean, a car accident's a mistake. It's wasn't intentional most of the time, yet we have the person at fault pay for it, and it's a fairly simple concept. Sometimes we make things more complicated than we need to be, So I think we need to really, have corporations and I think you can do it at the very lowest level if you put a tax in, and then basically everyone ends up paying their fair share when they consume the product, because it will get reflected in the price. That's reality. Yeah, so we go with that sort of way. And I'm looking, I'm not seeing Amir and those guys yet. So we can keep talking here for a few more minutes while they jump on. I'm going to try to do it, but yeah. So tell me, David, what opportunities you see in the carbon markets, and like Carbon Growth Partners is actually a very institutional grade, high minimum type of fund to invest in, right? Do you see any opportunities for individuals to invest? I know some of the blockchains are bringing carbon on. We had Climate Coin speak earlier. But do you see any opportunities for individuals to get long the carbon market, or to benefit by any of these changing policies that we either need a changing policy, or we're going to really have more of a dystopia future? So where would you be investing for either of those possibilities?
Well,
because right now the jury's still out.
Yeah, exactly. I think you're posing a few issues there. So first point is, I don't think to the point you made a bit earlier. I don't think we can wait for the global kind of regulatory community, the governments of this world, to come together and get their act together on imposing the rules. The equivalent of putting your trash out and getting taxed for it. I think taxes, carbon border taxes, are a long way away at being meaningful anyway. I know some jurisdictions like the European Union doing some good things, but it's it needs to be holistic. So or capital will just flow to the cheapest unregulated place like it normally does. So what my proposition is that that corporates need to be, as you say, feet held to the fire to do things. If they've made a net zero commitment, they need to be publishing the contractual commitments they're making to achieve that now. Yeah, not just nice words, but real contractual commitments. They need to have exposed them. And interestingly, you mentioned blockchain. That is a fabulous bit of technology in order to expose that. Not relying on waiting for the next annual sustainability report to be produced or annual report to be produced, but actually showing the world real time where those contractual commitments are being made and tracking their performance. I think that's a really valuable one. To your question about individuals, I think it's really difficult, partly because this needs to be done at scale. There's some lovely kind of NGO, not-for-profit activities around, offset your own personal emissions by planting trees and so on, but it's too small. We need the graph I put up. We need trillions to go into this, certainly hundreds of billions to go into nature-based carbon removals as soon as possible. You can't rely on a small number of do-gooders, frankly, to do this, and nor actually can you rely on a small number of impact investors and philanthropists to get this going, because philanthropy and impact investment is skin deep, best will in the world. What we need is a functioning market to work. And my mention of the carbon curve and your reference, Matt, to increasing carbon prices, that's the arbitrage that we can leverage, which is the presumption that carbon prices will rise due to the fundamentals of the market. In other words, there's not enough supply to supply the demand over a 10, 20, 30-year horizon. Now, the further out you go, the more risky that assumption is. But in the medium term and the longer term, it is a pretty safe bet that carbon prices are going to have to go up pretty significantly in the voluntary market.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there with you, David. Thank you very much. Thank you, Denai.